Hello and welcome everyone back to the League of Europe for Division number 4, coming to you from the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix, coming to you, from Imola. It's going to be quite the interesting Grand Prix here, and obviously quite the sight to see here at the League of Europe. First Grand Prix around, the Imola circuit. In the commentator's booth, though, to take you through this Grand Prix tonight, it's going to be myself, QVR Packer, and alongside me for the first time this season is going to be Caesar. How's it going, Caesar?
Yo, Caesar here, and thanks for that welcome. It's actually the first time ever I'm doing a commentary in this league, so 5 seasons and finally get my chance to be in the com box. So yeah, excited to be here.
Yeah, I'm excited for you as well. First commentary can always be quite exhilarating, coming from my own personal experience. So yeah, hopefully it's a good race to kick off your hopefully long and achievement-filled commentating career. So we can, I guess, head into short qualifying here for the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix, round of 13, as I said, and coming off of the previous Italian Grand Prix. Championship gap has opened up a little bit. 179 for Ryan B to 155 for Alt Maverick. So the championship starting to get played out here in Division 4.
It definitely looks like it, and I think Ryan looks like a man on form. He has been scoring podium in the last 3 of the 4 races. Not such a good sight for Maverick, who DNF'd in the last race and scored just 1 podium in the last 4. So definitely the momentum is with the championship leader here. Let's hope there is some change in the winds when it comes to the title fight, but let's see what the track has in store for us tonight.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting to see. Just from, practicing a little bit earlier on, Imola can be quite the track to master. It's very fun if you can hook up a good lap together, but it's also very difficult. So many difficult and even historic corners as well, just to make your way through. And I think it is going to be Alt Maverick, the first driver, who's going to be doing a lap here. So it's going to be difficult to keep it valid, to keep it on track, and to put together a good lap time. But let's see what he can do here and early on in the short qualifying session.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see what banker time does the Maverick set here. He is he is chasing the championship leader, so he will be looking forward to set a really good banker lap time and for everyone else to chase. So let's go with Maverick and see how his lap is.
Yeah, just heading through that turn 1, the left-hander at the beginning of the straight after start-finish line, and now into the Tamburello chicane through turns 2, 3, and 4. A little bit of a slide out of 3, but is able to keep on track through 4, up to 7th gear as we head into the Villeneuve chicane through 5 and through 6, carrying a pretty decent amount of speed as the Ferrari driver, now up to 6th gear for turn 7 at Tosa, down to 3rd gear to get the rotation all over the curb there on the inside, and now accelerating through the gears through this right-hander that is not a corner, and into Paratella. Very easy to invalidate here on the exit. Able to nick the apex there very nicely and keep it on track through the exit. Now through Aqua Minerale through turns 9 and 10. Braking just after turn 9. And now up the hill through the middle sector split. Let's see what it's going to be for the Ferrari driver. It's a 50 flat for Alt Maverick. And now through Variante Alta. All over the curves there as you need to be to get a quick lap time and to have a quick final sector. And now down through the final 4 corners. Let's see. Turn 13, this right-hander now braking into the Ravazzas. Turn 14, Ravazza 1, all over the curb once again through the penultimate corner at Ravazza 2, and now coming up towards turn 16 with the DRS open across the line. A little nick of the wall, but it's a 14.9 for Alt Maverick, and I think that, hopefully for him, that will be a pretty decent banker as Energetic sets his first lap on the medium compounded tire. The only driver, I think, out there on the mediums as of right now, besides Iverbridge Mike, of course. Marty just coming across the line to start a lap, and then I think there's an Alpine or a Haas of, I want to say, CPI Noah J. Let's see what he can do. 14.9 as well, only 400s off of Alt Maverick. Caesar?
Oh yeah, I'm here. Am I audible?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, I'm sorry I just got disconnected there for a while. So yeah, I was just saying that I was on board with energetics, and he was 6 tenths down in sector 2 and lost a bit of more time in the final chicane at the start of sector 3. But then again, he is on the medium, so we'll see how he fares once he slaps on those softs, if he does.
Yeah, while Mr. Water goes fastest after, while still going through these first runs, of course, Ryan B to the line. 15-2 for Ryan B, but it was invalid for Mercedes driver. That would have put him just in front of his Mercedes teammate in P4. I think Marty, who's actually invalidated, he was heading through the final sector. There's a Williams on a lap. I think, I want to say that is E-Duck.
I think Bosnia is the guy who is... Oh, Williams. Okay, I'm on the Haas.
Someone just improved. Yeah, it was Eduk up to P4 for the Williams driver, 14-9. The top four all into the 14s. Both McLarens are coming around the final corner as well as a Haas, but I think all of these guys are going to be heading into the pits. Marty, I want to say, is on another lap, and there's also an Alpine Major Falcons who are going to be heading into the pit lane. So I think I want to say Marty's going to be the next driver on a lap besides Ryan B, who's just headed through the middle sectors, a 50.8 for Ryan B. That's quite a whiles off of Alt Maverick, but let's see what he can do heading now through the final sector.
Yeah, 8 tenths down the second sector. He will be looking to push as much as possible. We have over half the grid who have set their lap times, and I'm sure most of them will be looking to improve their times. Let's see Ryan. Oh, he is now gone back into the pit, so he knew that he wasn't from the best of the laps, and yeah, the best bet was to just slip back in. As Bosnia, I see, is on his second run on the same set of softs. He's just coming around towards the end of first sector. What time he does for the sector? This is 24.6. Not sure what is this in comparison to Maverick. You have any idea?
I'm not entirely sure, but I would think it's a little bit. I think he's around a 24.2 or 3, but I'm not entirely sure.
But I think Bosnia will be looking to improve on the next run of it because the tires are used and now he has just invalidated his lap. So yeah, it will be a drive back to the pits for him.
Just heading, well, after finishing those first runs here in qualifying, it does look to be Mr. Water and Alt Maverick on the front row of the grid. Mr. Water has shown pace in previous races, obviously picking up that second place in Austria, fourth in Portugal as well, and not starting last time out at Monza. So has, I guess, something to prove here in these last few races, and has shown the pace in the past as well as in a, deep battle for Marty, currently fifth in the championship. Marty, who just left the session as well. So let's see if we can get him back in here for the rest of qualifying. Just under 11 minutes left in qualifying so far. But yeah, Mr. Water looking to show some pretty decent pace already. He's 2.5 tenths in front of Maverick, and since Ryan B hasn't been able to put a lap together so far, Alt Maverick has the advantage as of right now.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of Water, he has just scored one podium through the entirety of the season, so consistency is something that he's lacking, but we might see a surprise here, maybe a new winner this season in Mr. Wouter, but I mean, there is over 10 minutes to go, so times could tumble, but for Wouter's sake, it looks pretty good at the moment.
Yeah, looking pretty good for him. As I said, 2.5 tenths is the gap to Alt Maverick. Let's see if Alt Maverick can continue to improve on his lap. I think Iverburn Mike, though, is going to be the next driver to come across the line. So I guess we could watch him on his latest flying lap. But yeah, Mr. Water looking pretty good. Alt Maverick looking pretty good, as well as Rolliker, who is in his second race here in Division 4, currently P3. He's also looking pretty good, as well as the newest podium sitter, CPI Noah J, picking up his first podium last time out. He's up in P4, so looking to continue on his current run of form.
Yeah, but I think we need to keep an eye out on Marty as well. He is the only driver, he is the driver who has scored most points in the last 3 races, 2 wins and a P2, so he's definitely on the best of the form in compared to all of the other drivers, but he's yet to set a lap time. We should see once he does where he places himself. But yeah, I mean, as we see Wouter, Maverick, they're right up there, so it could be interesting tonight.
Yeah, definitely. The power rankings were released a little bit earlier today, and Marty topped the power rankings even in front of Montana, who is, the favorite for the Division One championship a little bit. Well, and the other streams that are going on, who's currently topped Division One qualifying as well. So Iverberg Mike though, 1.4 seconds up through the middle sector split. Let's see how much he can improve through the final sector. Running quite wide there at Ravazza 2, but Iverberg Mike across the line. It's a 1:15.6, and that's going to put him P7, which is a decent lap time as of right now. But I'm sure he's going to be hoping to improve. I think Energetics has invalidated Pody Poles. I think is going to be the next driver on a lap, though, in the Alfa Romeo, unless it's one of the Hasses in front of him, but I don't think so. Maybe actually Noah J, who could just be heading through Ravazza 1 and Ravazza 2, but he's not up on his time, and he runs very wide at the final corner, and that's going to cause him to lose a ton of time. So let's get back on board with Pody Poles, who's half a second up through the middle sector, but still needs to find a lot more time if he really wants to put himself in the conversation, and it's a 15.6, the same time as Iverberg Mike.
Yeah, Paul DePose missed the apex on the second to last corner, so he definitely lost some time there, but still goes P9 in the top 10. As someone else I see has improved, as he's down in P9 at the moment. Marty is about to start his hot lap.
Yeah, Marty, well, yeah, as we mentioned, he's, invalidates coming out of the final, out of the penultimate corner there. That's really unfortunate there for him. Slayer, well, the two Red Bulls coming to the line. Slayer goes into P12. McDutchface will dive into the pit lane. Anyone else on a lap? Mr. Water coming across the line to improve on his current time by a solid 0.2. That's going to put him onto a 14.5. Alt Maverick was unable to improve on his time, I don't think, as Rolliker comes across the line to set a 14.6 and knocks Maverick off of the front row of the grid. So a decent improvement there for the Alpha Tauri driver and puts himself onto the front row. So that's a pretty decent performance for him. But Eduk, currently P7, doesn't improve. He backed off, and he's going to be going again. So let's watch on board with him, because United Bosnia has invalidated.
Yep, not the best of the qualifying session Bosnia has, but yeah, as you said, let's stay on board with Eduk and see how he performs. He is in P7, 115.2, around just over 6 tenths behind the pole sitter. He takes that chicane very nicely. Let's see what his first sector time is. He has improved by 7,000. Not a much of an improvement, not enough to improve his position at the moment, but let's see how his the remaining two sectors goes.
Yeah, through Paratella. There looked pretty tidy for the Williams driver, just heading now into Aqua Minerale. The final two corners of the middle sector through turn 10, all over that inside curve. That can be very dangerous for a driver trying to improve on their lap time. Through the middle sector split, he isn't improving, though, through the middle sector, even though it has looked pretty quick. Down to second gear for Varianta Alta. And then short shifting through the exit, now heading down towards the final four corners through 13 and now into Ravazza 1. Misses the apex slightly into Ravazza 2 now. And you want to just touch that curb, that inside curb, just a little bit over the exit curb. And he's going to dive into the pit lane because I'm guessing he wasn't improving by enough to continue on that lap. So he's going to stay in P7 for the time being with his current banker lap on the board as of right now. But Mr. Water Rolliker, that front row is looking pretty good.
Yeah, it does look. It's just under a tenth, those two. But Bosnia has finally able to get through first two sector without any validation. And I think he will finally put a lap time. The game shows purple sector 2, but I don't think that's very accurate. So just two corners to go. He misses the apex by a big margin. Almost loses the back end. Just one corner to go. And he looks very scruffy and just loses the back end. And lucky for him, he doesn't go into the barrier and damages his wing or his car or loses his tires, and he will go back into the pit. So I think he's used two sets of tires for two hot laps each, and he's yet to set a lap time. So not looking good for the Haas driver.
Yeah, it looked pretty good through those first two sectors. He was about 2/10 off of Alt Maverick's banker time, so that could have put him into the conversation around, I guess, the top 7 about. But unfortunately, making that mistake in the final sector. Just watching on board with McDutchface, looked pretty clean through turns 1 and 2, and then running out the track at turn 3. So unfortunate there for the Red Bull driver. He's already backed off of his lap and will be looking to go again, but only so far him, Storm, and then the other Red Bull of Slayer, who's currently in P13. Are on the track right now. I think also not Aston Martin, Alfa Romeo is leaving the pits as well. That's going to be Energetics in P14. So not many drivers on track. We still have 4 minutes left. So if drivers want to do 2 laps in case they mess up their first, they would have to leave in the next 30 seconds to a minute.
Yeah, I think drivers like Storm, Slayer, these guys could face traffic once they are on their hot lap because the time is about to run out of the session. And yeah, we can see on the minimap that the drivers are leaving the pits one by one to start their final hot lap. So should be interesting where Storm comes across those drivers and if those drivers are able to move away from his way on time to allow him to set a lap time. So he's sitting in P10. He will, of course, surely be looking to improve on that lap time and move up the positions. So let's see. Let's stay on board with him, and why don't you take us through his lap?
Wow, the group of cars coming out of the pit lane as McDutchface passed them on pit exit, but now through turn 2, turn 3, and heading through turn 4. Looks pretty clean, definitely not making the mistakes that he made on his previous attempt at a flying lap, but now into the Villeneuve chicane, fourth gear through. Turn 6 looked pretty clean once again. He's 1.8 seconds up on his current lap time on a 121.2. It's a 24.3 for the Red Bull driver, so not too bad for him through that first sector, about a tenth off of where the top guys were through that first sector split as he heads through Piratella and now down into Aqua Minerale, one of the fastest sections on the circuit. Now up through turn 10, and it's going to be heading towards the middle sector split. Let's see what it's going to be for the Red Bull driver. It's a 49.893, so he looks to be kind of flying here, is the Red Bull driver. A little bit sloppy through Varianta Alta through turns 11 and 12, but let's see what he can do through these final four corners. Turn 13, flat out right-hander, and now into the Ravatz's double left-hander here, turns 14 and turns 15, and then the turn 16 towards the pit exit. Not exactly a corner. Opens up DRS, though, through the final corner. It's a 15 flat for McDutchface, so that's a pretty decent lap for him, but he's not going to be able to improve on that. And if there's any track evolution, he's going to be losing out. But I think championship leader, though, Ryan B, just heading through Toza and up towards Piratella.
Yeah, so that was a pretty decent lap from Dashwez, and he was able to finally improve on his lap time. Still two more drivers to go, Marty being one of them who haven't set a lap time, and this is going to be a high-pressure situation for both of them because they really need to get a lap on board. As I see Energetics, someone improved. Yeah, so that was Energetics. He set a 15.4, goes P9, and I think he's backed up there. That's the best he will start at. But yeah, a lot of drivers are on their hot lap, so we'll see a lot of topsy-turvy in that final standing.
Yeah, just watching on board with Ryan B. He did back off through the middle sector, so he's going to have one more lap to try and improve on before this session is going to be over. 1:23 seconds left here in qualifying, so let's see what driver's going to be able to improve. Iverman Mike through the final corner, currently P10 right on that cutoff zone, and he comes across the line. A 15.1 for Iverman Mike, and that's a pretty decent lap time for the McLaren driver, but he does have Alt Maverick, who's trying to pick up a little bit of a slipstream just behind him. He's going to have to get out of the way here into turn 2, and he will, so the Alt Maverick can come across the line as well as Noah J, who's just started another flying lap. McDutchface is coming around the final corner, but he's going to be heading into the pit lane because, well, he already did his lap time. I think Mr. Waters is about to come across the line. Walter comes into the pits, though, so he obviously...
he just followed him. Oh, Maverick has spun. Maverick has lost his car, and he's facing the wrong way, so that's qualifying done for him. 14.9. He'll start no better than P3, so not a good sight for him personally. CPI Noah is on his hot lap, and he goes purple in sector 1, really throws his car to the left hander there, trying to get... Let's see what his sector split will be once he takes this uphill chicane. Takes it nicely. 49.8 was touch space. Yeah, 49.6. So yeah, definitely, I think one of the best. That's invalidation.
He was on the he was on the edge through the first part of that chicane, but that second part was definitely way over the limits there. That was kind of greedy for him. Ryan B improves up into P6 for the championship leader, so not bad for himself. Ariel Jordan's not on a lap. Eduk is on a lap currently through the first sector. Let's see if he's improving. He's improving by 13 thousandths of a second, so not exactly a big improvement. United Bosnia is heading through the middle sector. Energetics is in the middle sector as well, but I think he's backed off. Major Falcon is invalidated. Cam K is heading through the middle sector now. He's up by a tenth of a second, so not exactly where he wants to be. He's going to have to find quite a lot of time through that final sector.
Ralliker
Marty
is 1.5 tenths down. I'm sorry to cut you off. Ralliker is 1.5 tenths down.
Yeah, Rolliker, he's not exactly improving, but we also have Marty coming across the line, opening up the DRS. It's a 15-2 for Marty, so not exactly where he would have wanted to be. It's currently P10 for him. Let's see if Camke can replace him. 15-3 and puts himself into P12, so he's going to be outside of the top 10 because qualifying is now officially over for him. Energetics comes across the line, 14-8, and puts himself onto the second row of the grid, and then Slayer comes right after him into P4. But both of those drivers have both done 3 laps on those tires. Ryan B is back off. Ariel Jordan is backed off, I think, as well.
That's it.
And I think, yeah, that is going to be it for qualifying unless Rallick can improve. But no, he cannot. He is invalid, and he is down on his time, and he's heading into the pit lane. So that's going to be qualifying over. Wilder, he took pole position right at the beginning of the session and never let go of it. Ralliker is going to be alongside him on the front row, followed by late chargers from Energetics Slayer, and that knocks Alt Maverick all the way down to 5th on the grid for this Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix.
Yeah, this qualifying has really shuffled up the order. Our championship leader is in P8. The second in the table is P5, and Camke down in P14. So this has really thrown quite an interesting qualifying, and yeah, we should have a pretty interesting race. Mr. Wouter, who is P7 in the championship, will start on pole, and he looks really a good one. I mean, judging by his pace, favorite to win. But let's see, the game can really just throw the race prediction out of the window. So here we are.
Yeah. It's going to be an all-Dutch first 2 rows for this race at Imola. It's going to be Mr. Wilder, though, who takes pole position for himself and for Aston Martin, followed by Ralliker, Energetic Slayer, Alt Maverick, CPI, Noah J, McDutchface, Ryan B, Ivor, Bryn Mike, and then Ariel Jordan will be starting P10, one of the worst places to start on the grid. And then Eduk, followed by Marty, United Bosnia, Camke, Storm, Pulley Poles, and Major Falcon is going to round out the rest of those 7 positions on the grid. 17 drivers in total here. So, yeah, Mr. Wilder looking on for, well, if he can keep it on track, a pretty decent result coming up in just a few minutes. But he's in that championship battle with MCR and Marty. MCR missing his first race of the season after he scored points in every single race so far. So he's relinquishing that title. And then Marty, who... He's been a good qualifier throughout the season, but unable to keep it on track besides these last 3 races. These last 3 races, he's been on an absolute tear. As you mentioned earlier, 2 wins and a second place in the last 3 races, but this time starting down in 12th. So he's going to have to battle back through the field. Let's see if he can keep it consistent and keep it on track for the 32 laps that are coming up.
Yeah, it will be definitely an interesting race. I just saw that the top 15 are within 8/10 of each other, so the grid is very tight. So I mean, one slip up from any of the guys there could result in a not so pleasant evening. So yeah, I'm looking forward for this race.
Yeah, I think a lot of different people are going to be looking forward to this one. Imola, it's absolutely historic. I'm sure people who have been watching Formula One for a long time remember this circuit and absolutely adored it back in the V8 era when Michael Schumacher and Fernando Alonso and all of them were racing. So, yeah, I'm sure a lot of different people have great memories here, especially since it's come back onto the Formula One calendar in the last 2 years. So, Mr. Wilder, Ralliker, Energetic, Slayer, Alt Maverick, CPI, Noah J, McDutchface, Ryan B, Iverburn, Mike, and Ariel Jordan, the top 10 will all start on the softs, as well as Marty, Cam K, Pulley Poles, and Major Falcon outside of the top 10. And interestingly enough, only 3 drivers starting on the median: Storm, United Bosnia, and Eduk in P11.
Oh, someone has crashed in the formation lap. There is an Alfa Romeo. That's Energetics doing a Russell here, paying tribute to him. An Alfa Romeo losing the back end there, but lucky for him, it's just a formation lap. But doesn't look good, crashing in this session. But anyways. But yeah, I mean, I am looking forward for this race. Like I said, I mean, under 8/10, the top 15 are. So anyone, I think anyone can win this race. But I mean, just before the race start, I would just like to know, I mean, any prediction for the top 3 finishers here?
When Mr. Wilder's gotten up to the front of the field, he's been pretty consistent and has showed pace to win races. Just opportunities don't come too often for the Aston Martin driver, but he's been relatively consistent throughout the season. So let's see what he can do.
Energetic has crashed again. I think he's just having fun there. But I think by doing this, his tire tension will be through the roof. So he could struggle at the start. We don't know, but we'll have to see. But yeah, crashing twice in the formation lap doesn't look too good. But yeah, Wouter, let's see. I mean, the gap that he had with Ralliker and the rest of the field, in fact, him and Ralliker is what I predict to be either one to win this race.
Yeah, so for my personal predictions, I'm gonna say Wouter is gonna take second. I'm gonna say Slayer for P1 in a shock result, and then Ryan B on the podium. Yeah. But we can get this race kicked off because we already have the 5 lights on, and it's lights out, and away we go. It's going to be an interesting situation for Mr. Wouter, who already had to turn right away off the start, but we're already going to slot into single file formation here down to turn 1. Ralliker going to try it around the outside, but All Maverick already has damage off the back of Slayer going into turn 1, so that's going to really hinder his race going forward. But it's Ralliker up into P1 off the start there. There's someone already off into the gravel, and that's Slayer, who's crashed, and we have a VSC already right at the beginning here, so that's one of my predictions already in the bin. Marty has picked up a 5-second penalty for a collision with Educk already early on here, because Marty is already up into P7 from P12. That's a pretty good start from him, and he's right behind his teammate. And remember, his teammate has damage. That right end plate has already gone off the front of that Ferrari, so he's going to have a difficult race to try and come back into this one. But Ralliker, Mr. Wouter, already swapping positions up here at the front, and then McDutchface also jumping energetics there on the start as well. Noah J, I think, lost a position as well, down to P5, and then Alt Maverick and Marty P6, P7, followed by Educk, who's up to P8 from P11 on those medium compounded tires. I think the virtual safety car is going to be coming in quite soon because some of the drivers are going quite quickly. I'm not entirely sure, but it looks like the VSC will be ending soon, and there's already a pretty decent sized gap between McDutchface and Wouter. But, yeah, just coming to the end of lap 1 here. Ralliker taking P1 off of Mr. Wouter, so he's going to have to try and get that back eventually as Ralliker drives off the track.
Yeah, Ryan, who's 3 positions behind Maverick, must have seen that wing fly off his, and he must be pretty happy with that. His closest rival is in the pit serving, having a wing change, and moves Ryan up to P8. Now, what he needs to do is keep his nose clean, first of all, and try to close in the gap to his rivals.
Yeah, Noah J, though, just making a move into turn 2 there, getting past Energetics up the inside of turn 2, around the outside of turn 3, and up the inside once again of turn 4 there. So the Haas driver able to make up the position. He's now going to have to try and chase down McDutchface, who's slowly falling away from Mr. Wouter and Ralliker. That gap is just around a second. He's going to have to try and keep as close as possible because DRS is going to be activated next lap, but you won't even be able to use it until the end of lap 3 going on to lap number 4, just because of where the detection point is and only having that one DRS zone on this circuit. Educk as Marty's gone into the wall.
Oh, not a great start for Ferrari. Both drivers suffering damage. Not looking good for the constructor's point of view as well. And both the Ferraris are now at the back of the grid. No safety car, no virtual safety car to help them out this time. But not a good start. Maverick starting from P5 down into P16. Marty, who started almost towards the back of the grid, is P15, and he'll make his way back to the pit stops. But rest of the grid looks all right. The gap hasn't opened much, but it is opening. Top 2 have bolted away. McDutchface, Noah, and Energetics are all once again behind each other. But then there's a train. Energetics, meanwhile, has been overtaken by Educk, and Educk on the outside makes a pretty impressive move.
Yeah, Educk is actually really flying here. Energetics all over the gravel there at turn 4 because now he's right in front of Ryan B. Ryan B's going to have to back off there. But yeah, Energetics losing 2 positions in 2 laps here, so he seems to be struggling. And he just got overtaken by the highest medium runner in the race currently. Educk, P5 right now on those medium compounded tires, and just, well, breezing his way past Energetics. It's quite easy to make DRS overtakes here at Imola, especially just down that pit straight as Energetics picks up a 3-second time penalty. The first driver to pick up a track extension penalty there for him, so he's going to have to try and contend with that going throughout the race, and I'm sure he's going to pick up at least a warning too, considering at the rate of speed he picked up that first penalty, so he's going to be struggling out throughout this race. But he does have Ryan B just behind him, and he's slightly holding him up, I want to say, so that's going to be music to Maverick's ears, but he's still 23.3 seconds behind United Bosnia's Maverick.
Yeah, I think coming back to yeah, I was just saying that coming back to Energetics, I feel the couple of spins that he had in the formation lap must have really burned up his tires, and he's just probably struggling to get them back down. As you can see, he's under attack from Ryan B, and Ryan B on the outside makes a very simple move, and yeah, he'll take a normal racing line as usual. And happy days for Ryan B, the Mercedes driver. Looks pretty solid to score maximum points, not maximum points, but even more points and open up the gap to his championship rival, who's down in P15. So happy days for Ryan. I think he knows the situation right now, and as the things stand, he's only opening up that championship gap and solidifying his title run even more.
Yeah, Ryan B took a commanding lead in the championship last time out at Monza. Still 5 races to go, including this one, so it's still going to be a battle for Allmaver to try and bring that gap back. It is not helping the fact that he got damaged there at turn 1. But we also have a battle between the two McLarens going into Variante Alta through the chicane. It's going to be very tight between these two drivers, but Kamke is going to have to stay in behind for the time being. Iverson Mike able to keep his teammate behind for the time being, but it looks like Kamke looking to try and make his way past. Maybe he thinks it's faster, but Iverson Mike just not giving up that position quite yet, because he does have Jordan in front of him to give him that DRS toe. But now we have Ryan B on the back of Eduk. I would imagine this is going to be a pretty easy overtake, as Noah J sets fastest lap of the race in P3 after making his move on McDutch face. Eduk just moves over to the right side of the circuit, and Ryan B is just going to make his way passes Iverson Mike, trying it around the outside of Ariel Jordan. Ariel Jordan brings a little bit late into turn 2, but Iverson Mike just not able to make that move through the first 3 corners, and is able to keep it around the outside of turn 4. Jordan's just going to have to slot in behind through the Villeneuve chicane, and I think he's just going to have to stay there in P9 for the time being. Iverson Mike picking up a 3-second time penalty, though, on the exit of turn 6, and Jordan is going to be down to P9. Iverson Mike up at a P8, but now he's going to have to contend with Kamke, who's just behind them, but unable to make a move into Piratella.
Yeah, and these 3 guys battling, Mike, Jordan, and Kamke, none of them have enough ERS to probably defend when the time comes to defend. 16%, 20%, and under 10% as the Kamke goes for a move on the outside, but I don't think that's the place where he needs to go, and he will end up losing even more time and comes under attack from the Alpine of Major Falcon. And look at the train that this is having behind Jordan. Mike has been able to pull away a gap of over a second, so he should be relatively safe at the next DRS zone. But what a train it is from P9 all the way down to P13. So 5-car battle, all battling for P9.
Yeah, Mr. Wilder, though, up at the front of the field, able to finally make his way past Ralliker. Let's see what the Aston Martin is going to be able to do in clean air. There's a 20% ERS advantage over the Alpha Tower behind them.
I'm sorry, energetics in the gravel. I'm sorry to cut you off.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. Energetics off into the gravel, though, making a mistake at turn 2 there. He's going to be dropping away from Ryan B and Eduk. He was kind of all over the back of him, but just making that mistake now puts him 2.5 seconds behind that duo, and now is only a few tenths of a second in front of Iverson Mike, who is now just in front of Kamke. That gap is 1.5 seconds after the McLaren was able to make his way past the Mercedes of Ariel Jordan. And we've seen this in the past. Jordan qualifies decently, is able to get a pretty decent start, but then slowly starts making his way down the field and out of the points. But let's see if he's able to keep these positions now, as of right now, because Mercedes still has a very important battle in the constructor standings. Especially, it's going to be a very pivotal day for Mercedes and for Ferrari. The gap before this race was only 4 points between the two constructors.
Yeah, that looked pretty close, but as things stand, it doesn't look too good for the Ferrari boys here. None of them are in the points. Both the Mercedes are in the points, so this will be pretty handy for Mercedes going forward and improve their chances of winning the constructor title. Coming back to the race, I see Eduk, the only medium runner in fact, the top 12. He's 6 tenths behind Ryan and around 7 seconds behind the race leader, so he's not really out of the race to win. If I can say that, very close. He's not losing a lot of time, and one thing that helped him is the fact that there has been no safety car, and he's been able to have a very clean start and made his way up the order, up into P6, and he's staying behind Ryan. I think he knows the pace what Ryan has, and he's allowing Ryan to pull him away from the pack behind and probably closer to the top 4.
Yeah, Ryan B still has that 3 second gap to McDuckface, who's 2 seconds behind the train for P1, and Mr. Wilder really showing his pace here because he's starting to pull away from Ralliker. That DRS is very powerful down that main straight. You can gain anywhere up to 8/10 really, depending on your aerodynamics. But yeah, Mr. Wilder starting to pull out that gap, really showing what he is made of. And Iverburn Mike making his way past Energetics out of Ariana Alta there. Must have made a mistake there from Energetics. But now I think the Alfa Romeo driver is going to have a shot at re-overtaking the McLaren driver because Iverburn Mike a little bit wide through Avatsa 1 and a little bit wide once again through Avatsa 2. So let's see what Energetics can do. I think it's going to be a pretty easy DRS overtake for the Alfa Romeos. Iverburn Mike is also derating Energetics with that 60% ERS. He's just going to move over to the right side of the circuit and should be able to make this move kind of in the grass, but it doesn't really matter once he gets to the corner. But he breaks a little bit too late through turn 2, through turn 3, and now through turn 4. Oh, that's really close. And Energetics up into the wall, and he's out.
He wasn't having the best of the race, and yeah, that just tipped off. Looks pretty good when he overtook Mike there. He had a lot of ERS, and as I said 3 laps back, that Mike will be struggling to defend when the time comes, and he was. But yeah, he broke too late, went too deep in the corner, and the effort to stay in the front just lost the back. And there's still no safety car, surprisingly. And I don't think Wouter, Ralliker, or Noah will complain for that, as top 3 continues to pull away from the rest of the pack. And I think they're playing a pretty smart game here, allowing each other to slipstream and use DRS of each other and pull away and possibly, build up even more gap. And, just work as a team at the moment. I mean, they are your rivals, but at the moment, I think that's a smart thing to do. Just pull away. But we could see a move and a swap for the lead from Ralliker here as he lines him up. A DRS wide open. No use of DRS. That's not needed because the DRS is so powerful and an easy P1. And yeah, it's quite a ding-dong battle so far. We have had these two swap positions through the entirety of this race so far.
Yeah, Ralliker, Mr. Wilder swapping positions once again up at the front of the field, but I think all the drivers really on the soft compounded tires as of right now will be coming into the pit lane very, very soon. In the next 4 or 5 laps-ish, these drivers are going to be starting to head towards the pit lane to start making those pit stops and switch compounded tires. Cam K in the battle for between the two. McLaren has made his way past his teammate in Iverburn Mike, so let's see what Cam K can do in clean air. He's been eager to make his way past Ivor and now has finally had that opportunity, and let's see if he can seize it. But we also, once again, have to keep an eye out on Edok, currently P6 in 3/10 of a second behind Ryan B. So those soft tires for the Mercedes driver and the championship leader are obviously not working too well, and those mediums are seemingly coming into their own later on in this race. Ryan B all over the curbs as you really need to be at Varianta Alta, and able to pull out a little bit of a gap through the final sector but from Edok. But Ryan B 43% ERS, Edok 60% ERS, so that advantage in the battery department is to the Williams driver. And up at the front of the field, Ralliker was able to pull out a little bit of a gap from Mr. Wilder. He's going to be safe from DRS for the time being, but he used all of his ERS. And Noah J in this battle has also been dropped from the DRS range.
Yeah, Eduk now using his ERS, and now I think he has stayed behind the Mercedes driver far too long, and he knows the tire advantage that he has, and he pulls up the move and moves up to P5. So the gap is 3.5 seconds to McDuckface, and now I think we can see that gap fall down with the tire advantage that Edek might have. So top 4, all on sauce. We could see them pull into the pits very soon. The gap has ballooned up to 9.2, by the way. It was 7 seconds and we last spoke of it between Edek and the race leader. So top 2 definitely have upped their pace. The gap between P2 and P3 has obviously opened up to 1.5 seconds. So it's just a battle between top 2 at the moment. Let's see if they're able to pull away a gap from Noah.
Yeah, Noah not exactly having the strongest amount of pace. He's able to pull himself within DRS range once again, but Mr. Wilder dropping a little bit from Ralliker, but I think that's just the natural order of things. Everyone closes up going through turn 1 and through turn 2, but then it starts to spread out over through the rest of the lap, and then once we get to these final 3-4 corners, the gap is around 0.8 of a second, and then it closes up once again, and that's really the cycle that everyone is going to be going through. But through those final 2 corners, Noah J was dropped from DRS once again, just barely over that 1 second gap. So heading down towards turn 1, he's not going to have that DRS advantage, and Mr. Water getting very close to the back of Ralliker, backs off a little bit going into turn 2, and he's going to have to stay behind for the time being. But we also have pit stops. I've been Mike who pit on the previous lap, and then Ryan B, championship leader, heading into the pit lane now to swap onto those medium compounded tires. But we also have a battle between the championship leader's teammate in Ariel Jordan and Storm UK, and as well as Major Falcon and the Alpine just in front of those guys. Jordan and Storm were battling, unable to close up to the back of Major Falcon, but a little bit of a slide from Storm there heading through turn 4. But Major Falcon able to keep the position for the time being, and now, since All Maverick pit on that first lap, he's going to have 8-lap-old tires, but Ryan B, P13, he's 3 seconds behind him, but on those fresh mediums, he's going to be able to close quite quickly, I would imagine.
Yeah, and I was on board the battle for P8 here between Falcon, Jordan, and Storm. So Storm, the driver on the mediums in these. Yeah, Storm goes a bit wide and gets a 3-second time penalty. So Storm must be getting a bit impatient here, stuck behind the soft runners in the front. And I can visibly see that Storm is quite quicker, or rather faster at this stage of this race, and he would really want to move in front of Jordan. And I think he has the opportunity here because Jordan is out of his ERS. He's barely over 10. He's under 10, in fact. And for Storm, he needs to get a really good exit of the final corner, which he absolutely misses these apex and the final chicane as well, final corner as well. So, and you can see the gap that he's able to build. But Jordan's in the pits. And in fact, a lot of soft drivers are now coming in, so pit stop phase is very well under the way. Let's see how far the medium runner goes for.
Well, we have a few interesting strategy decisions. So we have Ralliker, Kamke, and Polypols all deciding to go onto the hards, and then we have Ariel Jordan deciding to go onto the mediums. Ralliker pit from the race lead onto the hards, which is an interesting decision because I think the mediums can go, well, to the end of the race from here. So it's, I guess the strategy is now in Mr. Wouters and Noah J's hands up at the front of the race, as well as Educk, who's 3.6 seconds behind McDutch Face. He's not exactly gaining, but he's not really losing either. So we'll have to wait to see how his strategy plays out to the end of the race, because he's going to be going till, well, I guess another 10-ish laps, maybe a little bit less on those medium tires. So he still has a long way to go before he's going to be making his pit stop.
Yeah, let's see if top 2 comes into the pits. No, the leader stays out, but CPI Noah J goes into the pits. It's interesting to see what tire he comes out on. 13 or rather 14 laps if you count the qualifying lap as well. 14 laps on the softs from Nova. So I think you're right. I think mediums can go all the way to the end with the lighter car. Let's see what he slaps on. This is
the hards.
Interesting. So it's surprising. Maybe there's something that we don't know. I mean, I've never raced on this track, on this game. Maybe hard is the way to go, but judging by doing 13, 14 laps on the softs, I think it would have been possible to do 19 laps on medium, surely. But let's see. I mean, we have one leader yet to pit. What tires will he goes on? He will have anyway one extra lap on those softs. So surely he has to pit in on the set of mediums, and so will Dutchwiz, I hope.
Yeah, I think if Mr. Wouter comes out on those medium tires, he'll have a pretty good shot at, well, maybe even being in front of the guys who pit under the hards, because those hards, well, they're terrible from personal experience. So not exactly the fastest tire to go on, as well as Iverburn Mike showing that to Kamke, because he just moved his way past his teammate once again up into P11 for Iverburn Mike. Still a few drivers left to pit in this race, being, well, Alt Maverick already pit, but it was right at the beginning of the race. United Bosnia P6, Storm P5, Major Falcon P4, Educk in P3, but he started on those medium tires, so he's going to be going quite a bit longer. McDutchface and Mr. Water, though, the top 2 on the soft compounded tires, they're going to be into the pit lane. Let's see what it's going to be for Mr. Water. It's mediums for the Aston Martin crew, and for McDutchface, it's going to be mediums as well. I think that's the right decision.
Mike has spun.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's the uphill chicane towards the end of the second sector. Corner where I struggle as well while I do my lap, so I understand how he feels, but not a good sight for McLaren driver, who was definitely looking to make his way up the order. Meanwhile, after the pit stop stage, Ralliker has moved above Nova. Nova himself has jumped Wouter, so Wouter, but though he's on the medium, so he will be pretty quick and will be looking to make his moves as soon as possible. So as expected, he is on the medium.
Ooh, McDutchface spun.
Oh. Okay, that's not a good sight for a guy who just came out of the pits on the first set of mediums, and he will be overtaken by the Alfa Romeo of Pole Depots as well. So, this race is not going as expected for McDutch. So I was coming back to the race leaders. Mr. Walter, the only one in the top three, in the net top three on the medium compounds, and I think this is a strategy that's quite preferable when it comes to having the quicker time here for the entirety of this race. So let's see if he plays the patience game or just go on for a full-on attack. But at the moment, he's not close enough to go for any move here. CPI Nova J is within just about, or is he out? No, he's just about. I think he missed it by 1,000th of a second. So this is good news for Wouter. Let's see if Nova has ERS. No, he does not. No, so he just missed it by 1,000th of a second. So this is good news for Wouter, as CPI in a bid to stay close to Ralliker has used a lot of his ERS. He's under 15%. And Wouter is closing and closing. But yeah, in an attempt to overtake Bosnia, Nova was able to close up to Ralliker as well.
Yeah. Ralliker is going to stay in that net race lead, but both Ralliker, United Bosnia, and now Mr. Wouter are going to have to make their way past United Bosnia. United Bosnia getting out of the way of Noah J, knowing, well, since it is his teammate, he doesn't have to battle that quite as hard, but I'm sure Noah J will be telling United Bosnia, if they are in the party together, to hold up Mr. Wouter as much as possible, because that Aston Martin is going to be flying.
Of course, I mean, Bosnia will be looking to hold up Wouter for as long as possible. He knows Wouter is on the mediums, and he is one of the net race leaders. And you can look at the gap that Nova is able to pull up from Bosnia. 1.2 seconds, 1.4. So this gap will keep on increasing. It will be over 1.5 seconds by the time the next corner comes. And Wouter, I don't think he can make that move before the DRS trade. So perfect strategy for Haas here. Haas driver has able to pull up, close down the gap to Ralliker rather, and he will be looking to go for the move.
Well, we have another questionable strategy decision from a certain Eduk, who was on one of the best driver who started on the medium tires. He sped into the pit lane and then consequently put on the hard tires, which is interesting decision, well, from my point of view, but he is going to be able to come out in front of Ryan B, so I guess that's good, but he's still going to have to do, I guess half the race on those hard tires, which they should be able to do just fine, but they're not going to exactly be the quickest tire when it comes to the end of the race. I thought he would have gone a little bit longer and gone onto the soft compound, but I guess he can't really take that strategy decision back anymore. So running order now follows as Storm up in the lead of the race, yet to pit in this race. The Ralliker in P2, he's a net P1 though, with Noah J right on his gearbox. Mr. Wouter 1.3 seconds behind them, and then Alt Maverick, who pit very early on in this race after getting damage on lap 1. Eduk in P6, who just pit just came out of the pits on those hard tires, and then Ryan B, Cam K, McDutch Face, Poldy Poles, Major Falcon, Ariel Jordan are the rest of the point scoring positions, with Marty, who's 5.1 seconds behind Jordan and looking to close down the Mercedes driver. So let's look on board with Storm. Storm's going to continue on. I think that's the right decision, because those soft tires, they look pretty appetizing when you get to the end of the race.
Yeah, and I think some of the drivers who we see are on the hard compound. Oh, this is a McLaren that's crashed. That's Mike all by himself. So I was saying that I think the guys that we see on the hard tires are just following the race strategy provided by the game here. I don't see how hards are good tires here. I mean, the soft runners we see, especially with Mr. Wouter, he has gone on the mediums, and it looks like that he will make it to the end here. But I think going on the hard is a very safe option. There will be no risk of any puncture. You can push probably every lap, but then again, it's hard, and we all know how much the car struggles to get the grips of it. But he is just over a second behind Nova, so he really needs to get as Ralliker almost losing the back end and just managed to catch it, and just loses a couple of position, and he is now outside the DRS range, and with gravel on his tires, you can still visibly see them. He's struggling for grip, and not a good thing for Ralliker here, who was fighting for the lead of this race. Now he's down into P4, which is net P3. I think in the top 5, 2 drivers in Storm and Maverick have still to pit. So he's still on the podium, but he would definitely be looking to have more, as Storm is being overtaken by the top 2 as he lets his teammates through.
Yeah, Storm just letting his teammate through there because, Mr. Wilder was able to pull, close up and get that DRS off of Noah J down that pit straight. So Storm didn't have to back off too much, but he still backed off to let his teammate through there. And I think that's the right decision for the two Aston Martin guys because Mr. Wilder, he's on fresher medium tires, so the softer compound. He's going to be, should be able to close up to Noah J unless Noah J has some absolutely amazing pace on those hards. I think after 4 laps, he should have been able to get temperature into him, and it does indeed look like that because Mr. Wilder seemingly struggling a little bit there out of the toes of hairpin, so he still has that gap to close up to get within DRS range. 1.3 seconds is that gap between the two race leaders. Storm in P3 once again still has yet to pit. Ralliker 1.3 seconds behind him after that mistake at Aqua Minerale on the previous lap, and as well with that 3-second penalty for the AlphaTauri. Eduk, though, has made his way past Alt Maverick as Ryan B is now just right behind his championship rivals. We have a spinner in Cam K at Aqua Minerale.
Oh, the race is going from bad to worse for both the McLaren drivers. Both McLaren drivers spinning within a lap of each other as CP and Noah sets the fastest lap of this race. So maybe going forward, coming back to the lead of this race, maybe we could see Storm playing the team game and trying to hold up Ralliker as much as possible as we saw with Bosnia a few laps back. Just help him pull up some gap to Ralliker. That we'll have to see later on. But Cam K, the McLaren drivers, both of them in fact, struggling big time here tonight, along with the Ferraris.
Yeah, Alt Maverick is able to, get back up into P6, but he obviously, I would imagine, still has to pit at least one more time.
He has to pit.
Before the end of this race. 16 laps already done on those medium compounded tires with Ryan B's championship rival bearing down on him. He's going to be closing up to him in the coming laps. So let's see what Alt Maverick will do on strategy. He might be able to get to those to the end, but I really don't think so. It's still lap 19 out of 32, so still quite a long ways to go in this race. But back up at the front of the field, CPI Noah J, he's been able to extend the gap very slightly. Mr. Water hasn't been able to close down the Haas drivers. Alt Maverick picks up a 3-second time penalty that's really going to hinder him coming to the end of this race, especially when it's damage reduction for the Ferrari driver. That's the last thing that he needed in this race. Storm, the second Aston Martin, has Ralliker right behind him. Ralliker not going to be close enough, I don't think, going down towards turn 2. Let's see what the AlphaTauri can do. He's not going to be close enough, so Storm's going to be able to... Oh, that's late!
Whoa, wow. Wow, that was some send. I mean, I was about to say that that Ralliker will possibly lose even more time by, not going for the move there, but he absolutely sent it, and either casually just overtakes him, says thank you very much, and as a result, Ralliker is suffering from wing damage and he will have to pit in. But that was very, very ambitious. I mean, I don't think anyone expected him to send from that far back down, but he knew that he was losing time. And I think the eagerness to get in front got the better of him, and now he'll end up losing even more position. He's holding up Maverick. Will Maverick go to the back of him? No, that's too close. But Ralliker, I mean, he is allowed to defend his position. He is fighting for that, but he's not making it easy for Maverick. And Maverick will be getting really mad under that helmet, I'm sure. And Ryan B has caught up to this pack. So these two championship rivals, they're right here. And we'll have to wait and see how Maverick, reacts to Ryan right behind him.
Yeah, he really... I would say Maverick needs to stay behind here just to get the DRS, which he is going to do because Ralliker, I would imagine would be into the pit lane here. But yeah, you use the word ambitious for Ralliker's dive. That's definitely a word for it, I would say, as Maverick is now into the pit lane. He either picked up damage there or he's just deciding to come into the pit lane to put on those soft compound tires. Let's see what it's going to be for Maverick. He doesn't have damage, but he is going to be putting on the soft compounded tires to go to the end of this race. He's going to have to... he's going to have a ton of time that he has to catch up if he really wants to get back into the points here, because he should be behind his teammate who actually just came into the pit lane to pit on to a set of soft tires. So Alt Maverick is going to be coming out in P12. He still has quite a few gaps that he's going to have to close down if he wants to score meaningful points. Currently P12, the last point scoring position here in League of Europe. So currently in the points right now, but he still has quite a long ways to go.
Yeah, and to rub the salt to the wounds for Ralliker, he got a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. So The last couple of laps hasn't been good for the AlphaTauri driver, who was looking at one point of time to win this race possibly. And speaking of winning the race, CPI Nova at the front has pulled up a gap, or rather allowing him to stay consistent, or you can even say otherwise. And maybe Wouter is just playing the patience game here, trying to build up his ERS and then attack at the later stage. But on the main straight is the battle for P3, Storm versus Adek, but I don't think there's much Storm can do. Storm is already out of his ERS, and it will be a very easy move for the Williams driver up into the podium position.
Yeah, we were saying Edok made, not the best strategy decision, but it's put him onto the podium from P11 on the grid. So obviously a pretty decent decision from Williams. He's obviously had a few drivers get moved out of the way just through their own mistakes. So finding himself on the podium here, not a pretty good strategy call from Edok there. Just looking at the penalties though, Edok has that 5-second penalty from speeding into the pit lane, so I don't think he's going to be able to get that one removed. But he has Storm just behind him with the 3-second time penalty. Yet the pit in this race on lap 22 of 32. I would imagine he'd be coming into the pits on either this lap or the next lap to fit a set of the soft compound tires, and then Ryan B in P5, 5.8 seconds behind Storm, so I guess 7-ish seconds around behind Edok. So Edok's still going to have to keep pushing in order to keep Ryan B out of that 5-second penalty gap, but I think Edok could have a really good shot at a podium here. And then also up at the front of the field, Mr. Water and Noah J, that gap isn't really changing too much.
Yeah, I mean, the gap is very much consistent for so many laps now. And Edok, with his 5 seconds penalty, looks pretty safe to finish in P3 unless Ryan decides to push. But again, the gap between Ryan and Storm is, I'm keeping an eye out on the gap. Gap between Storm and Ryan is very much the same. It's hovering around 6 seconds, 5.7 seconds. And Storm on the 22 laps old mediums is doing pretty well in holding on to P4. But then again, he has to pit and he will possibly be out of the point contention, but I think he really needs to pit now. He shouldn't stretch these mediums even more to lose even more time, as Maverick sets the fastest lap of the race.
Yeah, Maverick down in P12, just catching up to the back of United Bosnia. He was just barely out of DRS range there of the Haas driver, so unable to get that DRS advantage as Ralliker sets the fastest lap of the race. Just behind him is Ralliker. Oh, he's off, and he's out!
Oh, Ralliker is out. How did he crash?
He just used too much turn 1, or just too much turn 2 safety curb. Punched the throttle and, well, I guess slid off into the wall. So that changes a few things. I would say if I was Noah J and Mr. Wouter, I would put him into the pits for the softs. Yeah, Mr. Wouter's going to be in. CPI Noah J, he's not going to really have much of a defense because, well, I guess the pit lane is quite long here. But this is actually perfect for Storm as well.
But Edok is in. Yeah, Storm is in. Storm is in a perfect position. As I was saying, that he stretched this for far too long and seems like it's perfect enough now. Ralliker in the AlphaTauri helping all these drivers, but Noah J into the lead of this race on hard compounds. He will be a sitting duck once the race restarts. Edok is in the pits. As you can see, everyone is on the soft compound, and there's one driver, Falcon, who stays out on the mediums.
Yeah, Falcon deciding to stay out, as well as Maverick, who did just put onto those soft tires. So it's kind of a lifeline here for Maverick because he's up into P5 now on track. So he does obviously have that 3-second time penalty as well as Storm. So they're going to have to contend with that. Edok was able to serve his 5 seconds in the pit lane, so he's not going to have to take that at the end. Take that at the end of the race. But I'm sure he would have rather just gotten. Well, I guess he couldn't have gotten it removed, but yeah, I think he would have rather had that served just there. So. Yeah, now just the running order. CPI Noah J behind the safety car on those 10-lap-old hard tires that he's going to have to take to the end of the race. Mr. Wouter on a fresh set of soft compound tires in P2, and then Major Falcon in P3 on those 9-lap-old mediums. So they're not going to be too bad, but they're still going to be pretty bad compared to the fresh softs for everybody else. Storm in P4. with a fresh sauce as well as Maverick, but both of them have 3-second time penalties to their names. Educk in P6, followed by Ryan B, and then McDushface, and then Poldy pulls Cam K, Marty, Ariel, Jordan. That's going to round up the points. And then United Bosnia in P13, who's just behind Ariel Jordan, but does have a 3-second penalty. And then Iverburn Mike, who's currently a lap down and on track, is behind Major Falcon. So that's splitting Major Falcon and Storm. So he's going to be restarting there as Iverburn Mike, and I'm sure he'll swiftly want to get out of the way. But yeah, all the rest of the grid is catching up to the safety car very slowly here. But Noah J, interesting decision to stay out here.
Yeah, the race has completely turned on his head thanks to the safety car. Yeah, Noah J decided to stay out. I think he was in two minds, possibly thinking that Wouter will follow him, and he must have kept his eye on the time gap on the top left of his screen. And he felt that he would lose a lot of positions, but to his disadvantage, literally everyone behind him pitted, except Falcon, who was able to make up positions, courtesy of everyone pitting in front of him. But at the moment, I don't see Noah J. I think Noah J, especially, and Falcon as well, they'll be sitting ducks when the safety car goes into the pits. And it's a happy news for Maverick, who pitted just a lap before that safety car period, and he's in absolute prime position. He is in front of Ryan B as well. Ryan B will be looking to make his move past Educk as soon as possible, and possibly fight Maverick as well. But Maverick has a 3-second time penalty, so that's something that Ryan will be aware of. How he'll take that penalty into situation, we'll have to wait and see. Will he risk finishing in front of him, or he'll just play it safe? Possibly, concede that, okay, the race finish is out of the window with just 7 laps to go. Once the lap, safety car is in this lap, that's a very late message, so I'll let you take over.
So safety car is going to be in on this lap. Safety car heading to the pit lane. Noah J is going to take lead of the pack. I'm sure his tires are not going to exactly be up to temperature. Neither is Major Falcon's, but Noah J weaving, trying to get temperature, and now he's going to punch the throttle just in front of Mr. Water, who doesn't get the most amazing of restarts, but he's going to have quite a few laps to try and make that overtake. Major Falcon just following in behind, as well as Storm, Alt Maverick, Educk, Ryan B is looking to make a move. McDushface not going to be close enough to make a move. He sends it up the inside of Ryan B into turn 2. It's quite close between the Red Bull and the Mercedes. We've seen this already in real life F1, but the Mercedes is going to be able to stay ahead in this, this time. Cam K is really close to the back of Marty, who's up into P10 now, so Ferrari's starting to come back into this race. We have a Ferrari in front of Mercedes, and then a Ferrari in front of Mercedes, both split by either a Williams or a McLaren there. All Maverick all over the inside of the curb there at Toza, has a little bit of a snap of oversteer, but is going to be able to keep it on track. But now Storm trying to make his way past Major Falcon, who's already overtaken by ESW Iverburn Mike, who is a lap down and trying to get these positions back. Mr. Water is still in P2. He's just playing the patient game, which I think is the smart decision for him, considering he has that gap to Major Falcon. He's going to be starting to hold up the rest of the grid. Storm looking to the outside into Varianta Alta, but is unable to make the move on the Major Falcon. He's just holding up, and he's splitting this grid right now.
And up in the front in Noah J, I'm noticing that he's using a little burst of ERS at every possible straight there is just to stay in front, but I think he knows that he can't do much about it. You can see he's already using his ERS to defend, and so is Mr. Wouter. But I think this is a battle that Noah J cannot win unless, of course, Wouter really messes up this race. But yeah, I think the race is playing perfect into the hands of Wouter, who's playing a patience game here, which I think is the right strategy to go for. And he has been able to build up a gap. His teammate is in P3, so it's a happy day for the Aston Martin guys here. As Maverick into P4, he's looking pretty good. Educk doing a good game for him rather than the Ferrari. The Ferrari driver. That's not a good sight.
Yeah, Marty making a mistake there at the Villeneuve chicane, going around there at turn 6. But just looking to the running order right now, it's CPI Noah J up in the lead, followed by Mr. Wouter, who's just staying behind. He's waiting for the DRS, which I think once again is the right decision to make. There, Storm in P3. He's not exactly closing the top 2 down, but Alt Maverick. Alt Maverick is right on his back. Storm picks up another 3-second time penalty, so that's going to be 6 seconds to his name. Alt Maverick in P4, followed by Edok, followed by Ryan B, McDutchface, and then Major Falcon on those medium tires, who's been dropping like a stone throughout the grid. And Major Falcon is Mr. Walter has a penalty because he's around the outside of Noah J. Going through the penultimate corner, now through the final corner. Noah J is going to be on the inside, or well, the outside for turn 1. He's in the slipstream. He's using his ERS. He doesn't have much ERS yet left to use, but now he's going to be looking up the inside of turn 2. It's going to be Haas and Aston Martin going through this first chicane, and Noah J is able to stay in the lead for the time being, because now, since Mr. Wilder, Storm, Alt Maverick, all 3 of them have time penalties, Noah J could possibly win this race, especially with the gap to the rest of the field.
Yeah, Noah J all he needs to do is hold up Wouter for as long as possible. With DRS now active, Wouter will be looking to make up a move on the main straight, but now with 3.5 laps more to go, all Noah J needs to do is if he manages to overtake him, not allow the 3 seconds gap to build up. And so far, to his advantage, Mike in front of him will be doing just that, giving him the DRS assistance wherever that's needed, as Mike gets a 3-second time penalty, not his first, but McLaren playing in the hands of the Haas driver in front, who will be breathing a sigh of relief for now, as the detection zone is about to come, and Noah is very much within 1 second of the McLaren driver in front. So for this lap, I assume that he should be safe and will be able to hold on to his P1 on track.
Yeah, I would just like to say that the F1 sprint race just kicked off, and Bottas is into the lead, and Carlos Sainz is making a move on Max Verstappen as well. So that is also happening right now. But don't tune away from this race, because it's starting to get interesting up at the front of the field with only 4 laps to go here in Division 4. Noah J leads from Mr. Wilder, from Storm, from Alt Maverick, and then Edok, Ryan B, McDutchface, who has a little bit of a gap in front of him, and then Poldy Pole's Ariel Jordan, who's making a move on Major Falcon up into P9, United Bosnia, and then Marty after his spin. He's still in the points as of right now, but he's still in P12, only picking up that 1 position as Iverburn Mike is off and out of the race. There's not going to be a safety car because it's too late for the safety car to come out, but now I think that's going to really throw Noah J into the hands of Mr. Wilder, because that McLaren will no longer be will no longer be in front of him. So Mr. Wilder is going to have a clean shot at trying to make that move on Noah J as Major Falcon and United Bosnia go side by side through Piratella, and Major Falcon's able to keep the position for the time being on those mediums.
Yeah, speaking of the leaders, I think Mike has done his job for the Haas driver, allowing him to stay for 1 additional lap and 1 more than what Mr. Wouter would have hoped for. But yeah, I think with 2 more laps to go after this, Mr. Wouter, it will be a bit challenging for him to pull up a gap, but you never know. He's on the fresh softs compared to the old 15-lap-old hards of Mr. Noah J. So this could turn out to be very interesting, and we'll see hot laps after hot laps for the last remainder of the 2 laps from Mr. Wouter. Noah J is out of his ERS, so it should be a very easy move for the Aston Martin driver, which it is. I'm sorry, he moved into the lead, and now it's all about pushing and having that gap of 3 seconds.
Yeah, he's definitely going to have to push to try and get that gap. It's 3-second gap that he needs to get. But as of right now, he's still finishing in P2, I would think, unless that let me look at the leader gap. Right now, as of right now, he's finishing in, I want to say P7, so about P4-ish. So he's technically still in the podium, I want to say. Actually, he's 1 place off the podium right now, so he's currently in P4, so he still needs to pull out that gap. But since he has the clean air now, he's going to have that opportunity to do so. But now, since Mr. Wilder's trying to pull away, the Aston Martin of Storm is also going to be looking to make the same exact move that his teammate just made on the previous lap. So Storm, 1.3 seconds, just under 0.7 of a second behind Noah J. He's not going to be quite close enough, but Mr. Wilder isn't exactly pulling away. I think he might have just broken DRS there. Has the Aston Martin, and yeah, Mr. Wilder's broken DRS, so Storm's going to have a good shot at making his way past Noah J, since Noah J is really low on the ERS, and Storm, he's quite low himself, but he's going to have that DRS advantage going down towards turn 2.
Yeah, I think this has worked beautiful for Mr. Wouter. He would have wanted to get off the DRS detection zone from Noah, which he absolutely did, and now it's this section of the track where there's a lot of twists and turns where he'll be able to pull up gap. You can see 1.5 seconds already, so this is advantage Wouter definitely here, and we could see that gap balloon up to maybe even 3 seconds by the end of the lap. You can see 1.7 seconds now. And the advantage is ERS advantage is definitely with Mr. Wouter here, even though they are basically the same, but you can see Noah is using his ERS. He's under 10 now, and the tire advantage is what's coming to the rescue for Mr. Wouter.
Yeah, Mr. Water, he has that massive tire advantage. He still has to keep pushing, though, because he needs to get that gap if he wants to win his first race of the season. As you mentioned, we could have a new winner here at Mr. Water at the beginning of the race, and now he looks to have that opportunity, but he still has to take advantage of it because we're almost on to the final lap of the race. We're heading through the final sector for the penultimate time, and through the final 4 corners for Mr. Water for the penultimate time, through 13, into Ravazza 1, through Ravazza 2, and just a little bit. He goes a little bit wide there at the third to last corner, through the penultimate corner and onto the pit straight. He still has to pull that gap. He has to push with everything that he has to try and create these gaps. Storm, I don't think he's going to be close enough to Noah J going down toward turn 1. Both of them very low on ERS, but Storm not being able to keep that gap the same as Eduk makes his way past Alt Maverick, and that's going to be crucial in this race because Eduk is now up into P4. He's going to be closing up these guys in front. He could have a possible shot really at this, well, I guess second, maybe third place, depending on the penalty situation, but Alt Maverick now down at a P5. Ryan B, though, has dropped from DRS. Alt Maverick will still be losing that position, but he's going to be trying to lose the least amount of points possible to Ryan B, as Ryan B, well, he did drop from that DRS range, but Mr. Wilder up at the front of the field, 2.2, almost 2.3 seconds is the gap to CPI Noah J. It looks like Noah J could have a really good shot at winning this race because I don't think there's a way Mr. Wilder can pull 7/10 in the last, well, sector and a corner.
Yeah, I think it's a missed opportunity for the Aston Martin because I think Storm really needed to just show his nose on Noah J's screen just to throw him off the line, which I don't think Storm really did. And I think that's what hampered. But it is 2.6 seconds. The gap is increasing. Maybe 2.7 seconds, just the 2 corners to go. And yeah, I think gaining 3/10 here will be a tall ask for the Aston Martin driver in P1. So we could see a new winner in CPI Noah J. I think who finished on the podium in the last race.
Yeah, he did. He took his first podium last week, and he's going to take his first win here in the following week. 2 podiums in 2 Italian Grand Prix. It's going to be CPI Noah J who takes the race win, followed by Mr. Wilder, who pushed with all of his heart to try and create that gap, but was only a 10th and a bit shy at the end of this race. Eduk from 11th on the grid is going to be perfecting that alternate strategy, and it's going to be up into P3 and will finish on the podium. Ryan B will take P4, the championship leader. He's going to be opening his gap by opening his championship gap up by a further 4 points with 4 races left to go in this championship. McDutchface will take P5, and then Alt Maverick will take P6, followed by Poldypulls, Storm, Ariel, Jordan, Major Falcon, and then Marty in P11. He's going to pick up 2 points there, and then United Bosnia will take the last points position with Cam K weaving to the start-finish line. But yeah, CPI Noah J, good race from him. I didn't think the tire strategy would work in the end, but those hard tires at the end of the race, they were good enough to keep up pace with Mr. Wilder, just enough.
Unexpectedly, yes. So we've been proved wrong. 5 different winners in the last 6 races. This division is really throwing up new winners every other week. But from the championship point of view, Ryan B did manage to finish in front of Pride Maverick, so the gap has increased even more. And yeah, he looks, he has in fact, held on to that championship title even more now.
Yeah, definitely. Ryan B extending his championship lead. Mercedes, I would imagine, take the constructors' lead. The constructors lead as well, with Ryan B outscoring Alt Maverick by that 4 points, and Ariel Jordan outscoring Marty by 2 points as well. So I think Mercedes are going to be in the lead by 2 points there. So a decent day overall for Mercedes and as well for Ryan B. But yeah, CPI Noah J will take his first race victory of the season from 6th on the grid. Mr. Wilder dropping that 1 position, unfortunate with the 3-second penalty at the end of the race. But it's going to be Eduk followed by Ryan B, McDutchface, Alt Maverick, Poldypulls, Storm, Jordan, Major Falcon, and Marty, as well as United Bosnia rounding out the points finishers, and then Cam K, and then the drivers who did not finish this race, Iverburn Mike, Ralliker, Energetics, and then Slayer, who was unable to complete lap 1. Ralliker will take home fastest lap of the race with that 15.9, so he's obviously not going to be getting that 1 point because he did not finish in the top 12. So yeah, thoughts on Imola? First time coming to Imola.
3 words: did not disappoint. This is the first race I've actually been a part of at Imola as a driver or even as a commentator. But yeah, the first race in LOE as a commentator, the debut race in LOE at Imola. I think I couldn't have asked for a better race to start my commentating career in LOE. But yeah, exciting race throughout, all action all over, and I think it's turning out to be an interesting championship so far.
Yeah, definitely have to agree with you on that one. Yeah, let's get the podium finishers into the party here. Just go back on the stream, and we can get them into the party for the interview, or well, for the post race interview. Let's get CPI Noah J in here. CPI Noah J, and then we can get Mr. Wouter. It's 0013. And then we need to get Educk. All right, so we have those three drivers. Well, we've added all three drivers to the party, and let's see if we can get them for their thoughts after, well, their Emilia Romagna Grand Prix. And I'd actually like to hear from a few of them, especially Educk coming through, well, from outside of the top 10. Mr. Woucher on that penalty, and Noah J on, well, his first race victory, 2 podiums in a row. But Mr. Wouter, our second place finisher, has joined the party, so I guess we can kick interviews off with him. Mr. Wouter, a good race overall for you. Pole position and then the second place, narrowly missing out on that win. What are your thoughts after that Emilia Romagna Grand Prix?
Yeah, it's a shame. I really thought I was going to win it, but then I got a 3-second penalty when I was battling with Noah, so I was thinking I could get it removed, but then I got another warning, which makes that it probably stay like this. But it's yeah, I really thought I could win it, but he just held on to this 3-second gap. So congrats to him.
Yeah, definitely a good race from both of you, as well as Educk, our other podium finisher. But it seemed like you struggled just a little bit to make your way past the Haas driver. Did Iverson Mike, the McLaren driver who was a lap down, did he have anything to do with your struggle to get past him?
Yeah, I should have passed him before DRS, but he was using a lot of ERS. So I thought the first time I get DRS, then I can pass him. But then he got DRS off Mike, and that was probably could have made the difference between the 3 seconds, I guess. But yeah, it is how it is. Still happy with P2, of course.
Yeah, of course, definitely another good result for you. Your second place, the other one coming out of Austria. Caesar, do you have any questions for our second place finisher?
Yeah, I mean, your pace in the quali looks very solid, and you were one of the contenders to win the race. I mean, you did win on the track, but I think the penalty really did you over. But yeah, I mean, like I think what you were asked just now, that Mike playing some role of some sort to keep Noah J in front of you. Even I saw your ERS level as well. You were very much at par with Noah J. So you think you could have just preserved it some more, maybe to once you had overtaken him, it could come in handy to you.
Yeah, I really thought I'm on soft tires that are new. He is on hards. This should have been it should have been my race. Of course, it was his mistake to not switch to mediums, but I could have made advantage of that, but it didn't work out.
Yeah, because you were able to pull up a 1.5 gap as soon as you overtook him, but it just stayed there and didn't really ballooned up as maybe even you were expecting it to be. Did you have any moment trying in order to push and pull up a gap, or your tires were just out of their life?
Yeah, I think it's the last part. His softs die off pretty quickly, but still they were faster, but not fast enough to make a 3-second gap.
All right, fair enough. I mean, you did finish P1 on the track, so I think that will give you some confidence going into the next week. So congratulations on P2.
Definitely.
Yeah, congratulations, Mr. Wouter, and we can move on to our third place finisher in Educk. Educk, not exactly the greatest of qualifyings for you, but you were able to start on poor man's pole position in P11, and then you were able to have, well, really a fantastic start and move your way up the grid quite quickly. What was that start like for you, and how did you find your way up so many positions right at the beginning?
Yeah, I mean, maybe a bit lucky, but yeah. After all, a nice start. Yeah.
Yeah, it was definitely a really good start from you, and starting on those medium tires, definitely a good moment in your race. And then the decision for you to move onto the hard tires instead of staying out a little bit longer to go onto the softs like Storm did. What was the decision making there for that strategy?
Um, I don't know. I didn't really even think about the softs, you know. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess just going medium to hard all the way, right from the beginning
Yeah.
then. All
Yeah.
right. Then I guess last question then. Mexico next week. Are you gonna be here and be able to compete for the Mexican Grand Prix? And your thoughts on it as well.
Yeah, I hope so. Maybe get my season started now.
Yeah. Well, congratulations on third place. So, Caesar, do you have any questions for our third place finisher?
No, I think you've asked that. Does the strategy to go too hard? I think he's answered it very short and very direct. Man, a few words I say either. But yeah, I know. I have nothing more to ask. GG.
All right. Well, our race winner has not joined us in the party, so I guess we can't end the stream off there. Caesar, do you have any final comments before we end the stream off?
Well, I just hope that we have a new winners every other week so that this championship can really get spicy towards the end of the season. I mean, with just 5 races to go. But no, man, I mean, in all seriousness, this has been a real pleasure to finally be commentating in the LOE, making my debut along with Imola. Like I said, I mean, couldn't have asked for a better track to commentate and for a great race that we were provided by all the drivers. Congratulations to the top 3, of course, and yeah, looking forward for next week. Hopefully, I'm here to commentate, and yeah, looking forward for the rest of the season.
Yeah, it was a pleasure to have you in the booth. And I'm sure most of the drivers that watch the race back will say the same exact thing. Absolute pleasure to have you. But yeah, that's going to be it for us at Division 4. You can watch the Division 2 and Division 5 streams that should be on in just about 15-ish minutes before those races kick off at 8:10 BST. So yeah, just in around 15 to 20 minutes for Division 2 and Division 5. You can also watch back our stream here at Division 4 once it does go live. Once again, after the race, after the stream is finished, and as well as watch Division 1 and Division 3 that just both wrapped up as well. But yeah, that's been it from myself and from Caesar, and I think that has been all, folks.